Does an audience of today have the attention span for a film like this? I wonder that.
I don't think Cassavetes would survive in today's cutthroat, lack of independent screen time.
Welcome to the Yo Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
1 week away.
1 week away as of this recording, Mike, to head out to San Diego Comic-Con. And you and I have been looking at this schedule, and for first timers in terms of, like, I know you've been there.
Yeah.
But you probably never had to really worry about building a schedule for 5 days. And I mean, it is.
Well, early on, I kept telling you because people were starting to send us things. And I said, just wait. Because I knew, now there's 80 something pages.
Different. These are, right. But those are, right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But that's a conversation we'll have off air. We're going to San Diego Comic-Con is the point. So we're going to be there beginning preview night all the way through to the end of the event, which ends on, Sunday does it wrap up or Saturday?
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday,
although
right?
It says like child workshops or something.
Yeah, it didn't look like there's a whole lot going on Sunday, but
no,
we'll be there nonetheless. And so if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, look for us in the crowd. We'll be somewhere. I don't know. This is a huge venue and there's a lot going on. And I don't think you and I are going to be together for half of this because there's too many things to cover and too many places to be. And they do that intentionally, of course, because they don't want like everybody going to one thing that's super popular and they can't fit anybody in there.
How many events are you signed up for?
It's got to be 60, 70, 80. There's a lot. Yeah.
And many of them 80.
Many of them overlap. They're at the same time. So, we'll get together once we're there and kind of coordinate better. But I'm also listening to a podcast, as I shared with you, about breaking down the schedule. And that's even overwhelming to hear that, because that's where you start hearing the tips on how early to go to this and that. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be, we got to have to manage the expectations, keep the stress level low.
The
we'll manage.
Hall H on Saturday, there's just a window of just leave me alone. This seat's taken.
Well, if you think you're going to, and you know what I don't like is I heard apparently they don't clear the spaces out after each panel.
Right.
I don't agree with that.
No.
I don't agree with that.
Because that's
right.
The thing, you got to get in early.
I get it from a logistical standpoint to turn all of that over and this and that, but it just makes it harder for people who go in and then you're there. You got in one room. Some people will be in Hall H from the morning the whole day.
Right.
And
some events roll literally right into each other. Like there's a Marvel, which I think is going to be mostly Spider-Man, but it rolls right into Kevin Smith.
Yeah, you keep saying Kevin Smith. Are you talking about Kevin Feige or Kevin Smith?
No, Kevin Smith.
Oh, but you say that like Kevin Smith is like at the top.
Oh, well, Kevin Smith is like the comic book guy.
No, I get that, but okay. Anyways.
No, he's done this for years, and he's one of the most entertaining guys. He'll talk about everything, and it's like a stand-up. It's like he does stand-up.
Yeah, well, just be prepared to be sitting in a 6,000 seat room and be at the very back, and all you're doing is watching the screen. Like that's probably what a lot of this is going to be. It's not going to be like there's people that have this down to a science in terms of how to camp out and get in the front. I don't see that happening as a couple of first timers, but we'll see how it goes. So anyways, that isn't why people tuned in, but we did want to say, since this is going to be the last episode, this is actually going to come out in a couple of days. We'll have this episode out. So this will be the last episode people will hear until we're back from Comic-Con. And then we'll do, a recap episode and talk about the experience. And
we may do something from there, depending
possibly
on what it's like. I
mean,
maybe
a little live stream from the Airbnb or something?
Yeah, it'll be too noisy at the convention center to do anything, but you can, there's going to be booths and stuff that we'll visit, and it's a lot of stuff. Your head's going to be on a swivel.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But not why we're here, not what we're here to talk about tonight. We're actually, I find it interesting. Now, one thing I want to say that's kind of connected to our trip to San Diego that I didn't mention on our last episode when we did a review of the original Rocky film from 1976 on its approaching its 50th anniversary, Sly just turning 80 and all of those things. Now, what I didn't realize is where the name Balboa came from. And you may not even know that. He was back at the time, he was, I think, writing it when he was going through the writing process. There were times, as I recall, that he was talking about how he would go out. He was in California and he was in San Diego, and how he would go out at night and go on walks or whatever it was and go up to Balboa Park.
See,
and that's where he got the name. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He took that for the character.
I
name.
literally used to go there to study. Every law school exam I ever had, I was on a bench in Balboa Park studying for.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a wild note. And this was from an interview that I watched with him talking about it.
Yeah.
Now,
you and him have become close lately.
Well, we talk about the engagement we get on the episodes, and a lot of times we're talking about the engagement we get from listeners and viewers on the YouTube channel, and we put out a lot of social clips and so forth. And so one of the clips I put out from the Rocky episode, I'm just put them out. It's like the thing we do every week with the episodes to promote them. And lo and behold, I see this notification that Sylvester Stallone comments on one of the reels that we put out, which blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was like almost on his birthday. I'm like, of all the things he could be doing, and somehow he finds the time to multitask and send little old us a comment. And he was really complimentary about the things that we were talking about in the clips, which was, it was really a nice validation, I think, of the conversation and the things that we were talking about.
One of his comments was basically an affirmation of what we said.
It was, yeah. So I'm glad we did our homework.
Good thing we did our homework.
We got it, yeah, thank God. But here's what was more interesting, Mike, is I never expected there to be a connection between that episode and that conversation to this episode tonight, which is to review a John Cassavetes film, Opening Night. And so what was, now give me a minute here and let me sort of set this up for myself. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Mike's holding up the box set of John Cassavetes, the Criterion box, five films. Yeah.
Right.
We're only going to talk about one of those films tonight, which is Opening Night. Now, my first introduction to John Cassavetes, because we should say that we've been talking about Cassavetes for a long time, because you've brought him up over the years about, we should do a film. We just kind of never circled around to picking one and leaning into reviewing one of the films. And so as we were deciding finally to do one, because you got me this beautiful box set that you just held up, and we finally settled on it, said, yeah, let's do one, to add this back into the Criterion review playlist that we've got out on our YouTube channel for those that want to check that out. We've done quite a number of those reviews already. But diving into the research on John Cassavetes, and this film in particular, it shocked me to know that I was introduced to John Cassavetes without even realizing it. And so I haven't shared this with you. And so the film Gloria, which came out in 1980, which starred Gena Rowlands, who was, of course, married to John Cassavetes for a long time. She starred in this film Gloria, and it was odd because that came out, as I said, 1980. I was very young at the time, but I saw that film pretty much upon its release when it came out. Once it hit the TV,
like HBO,
I stumbled on it. Yeah,
yeah.
it struck me then, even as a younger person, for whatever reason, because there's also a young actor, young character that's in that film with her. Anyways, well, I'm just now discovering that John Cassavetes had directed that film. I didn't even realize that at the time. And that wasn't, again, a detail that I was particularly interested in back then as a kid.
Had you seen Rosemary's Baby?
No, I hadn't seen that either.
See, I know him as much as an actor as I do a director, but he's only directed, he's kind of in that Kubrick world where he's only directed like 12 films. And Gena Rowlands has been in 10 of them.
Yes.
And she's been nominated for an Oscar twice. Neither one of them, this is like the list of people who should have an Oscar. Both of them, they do have honorary Oscars.
That's right.
But it's crazy that they didn't win for...
She was presented hers, I think, in 2015 at like the Governor's Awards or something.
Yeah.
And now it was 2 nominations she got for the Oscar, not 3.
2, as I recall, but it could be a third one.
Was one of them for Gloria? I know it was for A Woman Under the Influence.
Woman Under the Influence. That's the one I expected her to win. I don't know if it was Gloria. You know what it probably was? Is he directed her to 2. But she was probably nominated for 3.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. And then won the Golden Globe a couple of times at least. Yeah. So that was the first introduction. Now with Gena Rowlands, again, with Gloria, I don't know that I was really aware of her before that. And then for me, I think one of her finest performances in the latter part of her career, not the latter part. I mean, she was still acting right up until she passed in 2024, I think, was the film Once Around, which, I've mentioned that many, many times. Great
one of your favorites.
Great film. Richard Dreyfuss, the late, great Danny Aiello was in that film, and she starred opposite Danny Aiello. They were husband and wife in the film. Her performance in that, like it is in Opening Night, like it is in almost everything she does, she was a force in nature.
It's amazing that you picked Opening Night, because when I got to the 5 films, right, there's 2 others.
Yes.
2 that are on Criterion: Love Streams, I'm Holding 'Em Up, and Husbands.
Yes.
And I thought, like, Opening Night would have been my 5th pick of which one to watch. Of course, I would have said watch A Woman Under the Influence first.
Right.
But then Killing of a Chinese Bookie is so iconic with Ben Gazzara. And him, Ben Gazzara, and Peter Falk, who does a cameo in Opening Night.
Yes.
Where you just see him standing there in a tuxedo.
Yeah, so they have these little
cardboard
cardboard sleeves, inside so this is the one for Opening Night. For those that are watching, I'm holding it up. You see Gena Rowlands there on the cover, and so she's this renowned actress. She's a stage actress, and she's, as the plot reads, she's teetering on the edge of a breakdown as she's counting down the days towards this big Broadway opening of this play. Now, I'm sure there's other things similar. I can't think of off the top of my head, maybe you can, where this is like a play inside of a play.
It's a play in a play that's being filmed.
Yes. And a lot of things I didn't know about Cassavetes that I know you would have been familiar with, but I really, again, this ties back to the Rocky episode, Mike. And I'm sure that Stallone was heavily influenced, as were so many, not just in the States, but around the world, especially in Europe, that Cassavetes, like some people consider him to be the father of independent filmmaking. I had no idea this guy was like, financing his films and the lengths they were going to get these films made. So talk a little bit about that part of his career.
talking specifically about opening night, it came out the year after The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, which a lot of people consider his seminal work. It's really good. And there's an actor in there that's also was in The Killing with Kubrick. It's very unusual. Remember the guy that shot the guy who was in the horse race in The Killing? He's really a weird cat.
Yeah.
He's in 2 of Cassavetes' films at least. But to get back to what the point, opening night really was a dud, right? It didn't make any money.
So much so, Mike, they pulled it. They pulled it.
And it's because Killing of a Chinese Bookie didn't do enough money for him to fully advertise it. So they would pull it out of the theater, wait till he got a little more money, then he'd put it back in the theater. But now he's looked at as like one of the great American directors, period.
Well, and a guy that seems like an artist that never compromised.
No. And that's why, like, he's like Orson Welles in some ways.
Yeah,
you know?
Actually, Peter Bogdanovich, who has I think you said he has a cameo in this as well with Peter Falk, and there's an interview, it's a great interview with him, Ben Gazzara, and Gena Rowlands on the Charlie Rose show back at the time this came out on Blu-ray, Mike, this set.
Wow.
And so they're celebrating the release of the set, and they're all, of course,
which
reminiscing.
Is back in like 2004 or 5.
I think it was 2004. Yeah. And so they're reflecting on Cassavetes, and they talked about all the things that you just said as to, the way that they had to scrimp and save and go act in this or that play or whatever it was, or a film, to scrape up the money to
finance the next project. It reminds me when we talked to the Nelms brothers, they tend to do that. They'll wait and they finance their own stuff, and they'll wait till they get a distributor that's right for them before they release something, which they did recently.
Yeah. And these are not, I mean, of course, a lot of these films now are looked back on as classics, but at the time, as you said, with opening night when it came out, I mean, again, they had to pull it and they could release it again, and so, and I don't know, when you watch the film, it's like nothing you've really seen before. And this is, I don't know, Mike, does an audience of today have the attention span for a film like this? I wonder that.
I don't think Cassavetes would survive in today's cutthroat, lack of independent screen time. I just don't think he would be a hit.
He'd be setting up like a GoFundMe or something.
Yeah.
Some Kickstarter.
And she liked it when he just acted. Because when he took on a project that he wrote and directed, it would take him a year.
Yeah.
If he just acted, it was 28 days, 30 days for a film shoot. This, you can see how difficult it must have been in some of the shots. It's very Shakespearean with a play within a play.
Yes.
And I love the shots in opening night where he puts the camera in a place where you see the actor go off stage. And it's something, as somebody who's been in plays, it's something that's so kind of unique when you walk off and all of a sudden you drop the character.
Yeah.
And you get a drink and you're talking to someone and then you go back out.
It's like Larry Sanders-esque, it's kind of like Larry Sanders. Yeah, that is very interesting. And that's the thing. It's very striking when you immediately realize, oh, I'm watching a movie about a play and a play. It's very
and she's very frustrated at this stage in her career. She's getting older. Okay.
Wouldn't you say that's like the prominent theme here, is coming to terms with that?
Right. Although her character wouldn't. Her character would say age has nothing to do with it.
Well, and why is that? Because it's based on the woman that wrote the play in the film. Joan Blondell's character is yeah, you're right. She wouldn't
agree with us.
She wouldn't subscribe to that. No.
What happens in the beginning of the movie? A young fan that's trying to get an autograph and is really being aggressive. And she's this young 18-year-old blonde girl, and she gets hit by a car and killed. Now, there's schools of thought that never really happened. That was just in her head.
I'm in that school, as is Gena.
Yeah. And she just, and she tries to tell people, no, I'm just making it up. It's like a make-believe friend. But nobody's believing her. Right. And she has to keep kind of going back to it. And this film, back when it came out, it was criticized heavily for that character because Cassavetes did not make it clear. Was that a figment of her imagination? Was it a real person?
Well, that's the beauty. That's the art in it, right? Is I don't want to need that spoon fed to me. And it leads for night conversations like this. And now, so yeah, she's coming out of one of the performances of the play, which they're doing. I don't know where they're doing it leading up to the big Broadway premiere, but wherever it is, wherever the theater is out back as they're coming out. I mean, she basically, Gena Rowlands plays Myrtle Gordon is the name of her character. So Myrtle's coming out with the other cast, but she's the lead. She's the star here. And she almost gets accosted by this fan that you're talking about, this young woman played by Laura Johnson. And the girl's name's Nancy. And she's really sort of, it seems like maybe she's got something going on and, whatever. Right. She's really all over her. I love you. And this is like, kind of Eminem Stan kind of moment. But so as they're driving off in the rain, as you described, there's this accident where the girl runs out and she's trying to follow the car until she can't follow it anymore. Ends up getting hit by a car. Now, we don't really see her, to be technical, like we don't see her officially pronounced dead at the scene.
Right. She's laying there lifeless.
Technicality. Right.
Right.
Which can help support that school of thought that might say all of this is in Gena Rowlands' head. Now, I would say I would buy that, yeah, that accident happened. The girl died. But her seeing her throughout the rest of the film in her mind, like in her mind, clearly Cassavetes makes that clear because she's speaking to her, but then there'll be another character in the scene that sees her talking to a wall. Like there's nobody there.
She was in the bathroom at one point, and Ben Gazzara walks in and says, "Are you talking to yourself?"
Yes. Are you okay?
He's like trying to, are you practicing lines? Right. He doesn't get it.
Now, Mike, here's where I went with this. Okay. The reason that I think the whole thing could be explained as being made up, that it never happened, is because I wondered, and this is maybe deeper than Cassavetes ever even intended. I don't know if he would have ever admitted it anyways, was that Myrtle, Gena Rowlands' character Myrtle,
as a young person,
mourning her younger self?
Yeah.
That's what I walked away with, thinking she's actually, because the character does kind of resemble her as a younger person. And, Gena at this point is about almost 40, I think, maybe in this movie. She's about 40 years old, I think, at this point in her career. So that's what I took away from it. There was kind of a figment of her imagination symbolizing her struggle to come to terms with aging. That she's aging. And
I've come to that same...
Is that where you stand?
I don't know if I stand there now, but I've seen it so many times that has run through my mind. Is that her? Is she looking at herself as a younger actress?
Is fascinating. This came out Christmas Day, 1977 in the States. So to still be feeling that way, pondering those things. I mean, I think that's a testament to the power of the film. Now, Cassavetes, and maybe you can talk about this being more familiar with his larger catalog, because I'm sure you've seen every one of his films, is the realism that he portrays in the film. And not just from the look of it and the performances, but like talk about the fact that the audience that's in the theater watching this play, they're all people they like sent out a all call, hey, if you want to show up, and right, these are
they
just
didn't
like
think they were going to get a crowd,
right?
They were concerned that they were going to have to pay extras, and they didn't have the money to do it.
Yeah,
but yeah, he puts out this little ad, and this crowd shows up, and what happens is she's getting bored with the play, right? She's making things up. It's like she's saying, I shouldn't be getting slapped. He shouldn't be hitting me.
She's having trouble connecting with the character.
Right. And it's so funny because Ben Gazzara is like, what? Slap me. Go ahead, slap me. It's not hurting. You just use your fingers. And then as Gazzara's walking up, he slaps Cassavetes.
Yes.
And you could tell by the look at his face. He didn't know that was coming.
Right, right.
And then she goes, they start kind of improvising. And she goes totally off book. She shows up opening night. She's totally drunk.
Okay, you're fast forwarding the latter part of the film.
I'm fast forwarding a bit, but it's the same scene because it's the same play. But she decides, and no director would put an actor like that on stage. There'd be an understudy.
She could hardly stand up.
She's literally falling down in the hallway. But it's so genuine, the response from the crowd at what they're doing, that they're kind of, you can tell they're making it up as they go along.
Yeah, now Ben Gazzara talks about, I mean, his explanation was there wasn't as much improvisation as people might think that there was. There certainly was, but I don't think Cassavetes was big into rehearsal.
No.
Like they certainly, it wasn't like a Curb Your Enthusiasm where there was not a script and anything like that. Right. It's not quite.
That's actually a good
comparison
choice to compare. There's kind of an outline.
Yes.
And then they play within the outline, and they're such good actors.
Yeah.
They can pull it off.
Well, it's so much so it's when I think about, there's a scene in the film where her and Cassavetes, Gena and Cassavetes, their characters are having this dialogue back and forth, and it's really quirky. And there's times when you're laughing and you're like, am I supposed to be laughing at this right now? It's really weird the way he does this throughout the film. It's like, is this a serious moment? I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
And I think that speaks to that realism and just the way he'd like to keep things off balance, not only for the audience, but for the performance as well, to kind of keep it fresh. But there's these mannerisms, these gestures that Jenna's character's making when she's trying to talk to him and they're having this disagreement. There's like this kind of like he's throwing punches at her. Now that she says, didn't know that was coming. Now, a lot of that was improvised, but like some of these gestures, I haven't seen A Woman Under the Influence yet, but I've seen some chunks of it, and the same gestures she's making in that film. So it's just interesting, some of the recall in the performances,
Yeah. Knowing Cassavetes means Peter Falk, means Ben Gazzara. They all went to acting school together. They're all thick as thieves. The three of them were heavy, heavy drinkers. And really, it's why Cassavetes died at a young age. He was, 59, I think.
Yeah, incredible.
And it was basically liver. His liver went because of all the drinking. And you can see it on their face. I mean, I'm sure you watched the interview on opening night between Ben Gazzara and Gena Rowlands.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's having trouble talking. You know, he's only got a few more years left.
Well, but that had to do with smoking.
Right. He was a big smoker.
Right. Yes. I mean, this was a different time back then, of course. Yeah. Cassavetes was born in 1929. He died in 1989, as you said, at the age of 59. It was crazy. But
yeah.
Also, I had mentioned that they were married. They got married in 1954 up until his death.
Yep.
In 1989. Yeah. And, you know, like you're pointing out, they tend to work with a lot of the same folks. That kind of small group of thieves, as you called them. Cassavetes obviously writes and directs the film. We've talked about Gena Rowlands. I did want to mention a couple of other folks. Paul Stewart is in this. John Toole, Mike, talk about this character, Gus, who is real
big
tall,
guy,
handsome-looking guy that plays a part in the play.
And this was his first film.
Right, because what did he do? He was a teamster.
Yes.
This guy.
And
he was awesome to watch.
Yeah. And in that sequence where she's so drunk, he's literally carrying her around the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she went out the way she was, she'd be tripping and falling, and he's walking her from one character to the next. It's really a fascinating kind of performance.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, but I think, you know, again, the main plot again is Jenna's character. I think, again, coming to terms with her own, you know, even mortality at points. She just seems very, you know, you think she's just having a complete meltdown. She may be having, you know, maybe she's struggling with some mental illness, and she's clearly drinking heavily.
Right.
She's taking swigs right before she comes out to perform scenes from the play. And there's a guy, you know, the guy backstage, the stage master or whatever you call him. He's like, you know, giving her one of the props she needs, and then he'll take out a bottle from his coat and she'll take a swig and go out. It's like, it's just kind of crazy. You know what I meant to mention earlier, Mike, when I talked about the film Gloria, that was my unknowingly, you know, that was my introduction to Cassavetes. Well, you know who did the score for that film was none other than Bill Conti, who did the Rocky score. So it's just
a small world.
The saying "the universe is wise," like it, I think that's there's no coincidence there.
And their mothers are both in the film, and there's two films where Gena Rowlands' mother plays her mother. Okay, A Woman Under the Influence is one of them.
Now, what were they playing in this? What I
they
recall?
They were
the seance?
Yeah, they were side characters in the seance.
There's a seance sequence.
But both their mothers are in it, which is, I think, fascinating. Her brother is in it as well.
Now, were you familiar with Joan Blondell's work before this? Okay, I would think you would have been, Yeah,
because she did some film noir.
Yes.
And, you know, if you see her picture on IMDb, it's still from 1929, I think.
Yes, long resume that she had. Now, certainly there were other actresses at that time, strong female leads, but Gena Rowlands has to be one of the standouts in her entire career. Again, I haven't seen every one of her films, but all the films I've seen, she's so tough. She's so uncompromising. She can be emotional. She can be sweet. She can be funny. She's so versatile. In all of her films. I mean, it's just so powerful to watch her on screen.
And, you know, A Woman Under the Influence, which got her a Golden Globe. I don't know how she doesn't win the Oscar for that. You think at the beginning of it, it's, you know, she's under the influence of alcohol or drugs. It's not. It's mental illness.
Mental illness, yeah.
And that's what that film really is about.
Convince people that they need to see this. Why do I need to see Opening Night by John Cassavetes, Mike?
You know, I would actually tell people to see some of his earlier works first. Like see A Woman Under the Influence or...
Well, that's what's nice about this box is they lead up to Opening Night, essentially.
Opening Night is the latest of the films.
And I think, I'll be honest with you, that funnily enough, was one of the reasons that I selected it, because it's just the way it came out of the box in my hands.
Funny.
I wasn't analyzing the dates. I just said, oh, let me start with this one. And also, very quickly to point out, this is one of the biggest booklets I've ever seen in a Criterion release before.
Yep.
It's incredible.
I have a couple of books about Cassavetes that are buried somewhere.
But okay, you would say, check out some of his earlier works, but why land on this one? What's great about opening night?
Well, I love it because it's so, if you like acting or have any interest in acting, this is like, oh my God, this is like a, it's like a film class.
A master class. Yeah.
Yeah, a master class.
Yeah.
And the way he shoots it, the way he gets the angles, the way he's, he plays with the audience. Just there's so many things about it that's fascinating. It's hard for me to look back at some of the older reviews that are kind of harsh about it when it's such, again, he's directed 12 films, and every one of them are good.
Well, there's a good transition to the ratings. We always comment on IMDb. We always comment on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, IMDb scores pretty low, 69. But Rotten Tomatoes, again, for what stock you put into that, 96% from the critics. Not a surprise there. 90% from the audience, actually.
That's good. That's higher than I thought.
Yeah, I thought you'd be surprised by that particular one. Now, I will say, this is a very long film. It's 2 hours and 24 minutes. Like, it's long, but again, Gena Rowlands, her performance alone will keep you riveted. Now, and that's to say nothing about the power of the other performances. Everybody in the film is fantastic. All of the supporting, and Ben Gazzara is great. You remember we used to, why did we think Ben Gazzara was dead 10 years before he was, you remember like when he was in Roadhouse, and we're like, well, that can't be
right.
Ben. You remember this whole thing with Dad at the time about Ben Gazzara?
I think there was some confusion with him. There's a famous film, Mona Lisa.
And
I can't think of the actor. He was in Who's Afraid of Roger Rabbit. Can you think of his name?
The lead guy?
Yeah, the guy.
Geez. It'll come to me once
I think
we wrap.
He died, and he was often confused with Bob Hoskins.
Bingo.
See, you always come up with part of it, and I finish it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think there was some confusion when Bob Hoskins died. People thought it was Ben Gazzara, something like that.
Something like that, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, we talk about the ratings, at the length of the film, but again, the performances, it's riveting enough because it's like nothing else I'd seen before, And so if you're looking for something that's a change of pace, and you're looking at something that's very heavily character driven, and you're looking to see one of the finest actresses of all time, frankly.
Right. Like when I think of her, I think of Meryl Streep. Like the two of them, to me, are like bookends.
Gena Rowlands is she was absolutely an amazing actress, an amazing talent. Born out of the stage herself. I mean, you read up on her career. It's quite fascinating, but they're all great. Again, Ben Gazzara, Joan Blondell, all the other cast are just wonderful. Cassavetes himself. I mean, he's in the thing, of course. So,
I'm a big Hitchcock guy, and there's a great Hitchcock show with Cassavetes. He did like 3 or 4 of Hitchcock Presents. And there's one where he waits for this guy to leave and kidnaps his wife, holds her hostage while he just escaped from a prison. And the whole time he's talking with her, and he's making her, the phone would ring, and he says that, he tells her what to say. Turns out the twist, there's always a twist with Hitchcock.
Sure, yeah.
The woman is deaf. She's reading his lips. And at the very end, that's what trips him up, is he says something on the phone, and they realize she wouldn't have said it. She can't hear.
Interesting.
Why is she talking on the phone?
Yeah, that's wild.
And the other thing I got to point out, John Cassavetes was considered for Tom Hagen
For Godfather.
in The Godfather.
Now that he would have been excellent. As
He
Tom
would have
Hagen.
been.
Yeah.
Not that Duvall wasn't.
Now we did talk about Cassavetes when we did the Criterion review on The Killers. You remember the remake, because we touched on what was it, 1964? Was that the remake? Remember we did both.
Oh, 46 and 64. The Killers,
that's right. That's
he
right.
acted in the latter one.
That's right. That's
with
right.
Angie Dickinson.
Correct. And so, that I remember talking about him at that time. But again, I know that you've been a long time admirer of his work, and there was so much about him that I didn't know in terms of this independent filmmaking and the way he, the lengths they went to get the films done. It's quite fascinating.
This is one I've been telling you, hey, we gotta crack into Cassavetes, and I finally bought you this. The reason I bought you this box set is because they just released A Woman Under the Influence separately, and it's on Blu-ray. So, and if you see his other films like Chinese Bookie, there's no reason for a 4K of that. Yeah, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie. That's my favorite of his.
Shadows, Faces. I mean, they're
all great.
Yeah, this is the collection to have for sure. And so I don't know. I mean, we should probably dive into each one and just review them all, quite frankly. That would be fun to do. But again,
and then his latter work, Love Streams.
And then Husbands.
And Husbands,
yes. It was funny because in the interview with Ben Gazzara and Gena Rowlands on Charlie Rose and Peter Bogdanovich, who was in that interview too, he hadn't seen Shadows yet, which I believe was his very first feature film, I believe, Shadows.
I know it was early. Yeah.
But so again, you'd say start out with the earlier work, but what's the selling point on opening night again, just to drive this home?
Again, I think, it's very much
it's this right here.
Yeah, it's her. It's a master class of being an actor and how good somebody can be and how convincing and just
and to watch Cassavetes himself acting opposite her in this is just to know that what their relationship was, and there's just so much going on. It's really fascinating.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in their house growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably constantly talking about art and film.
I would imagine, I would imagine so. But fantastic film. I'm glad that I've finally cracked the seal on this box set.
Great box set. It's half price right now.
Yeah.
Their Barnes and Noble and on Amazon.
Their kids are in the business too. Nick Cassavetes, but there you go. There's at least the first of perhaps many Cassavetes reviews to come. But this one's in the books. It's another, again, part of our Criterion, which we've spoken about. There's always the supplemental material, this great booklet that comes with it that you can read through, and just some of the finest films of the 12 that he's directed. Anyways, so. This is definitely a strong recommendation.
This is one of their first box set releases. And if you go to the Criterion website, people will know the Criterion truck or the closet.
The closet.
Right?
Yeah.
If you click on just the pics, almost every other person has Cassavetes in there as one of their picks.
And there's endless, and if you go down a rabbit hole on YouTube of Cassavetes and you see, Quentin Tarantino talks about Martin Scorsese talks about John Cassavetes.
Yeah, Scorsese was a big Cassavetes guy.
And Bogdanovich, I think I was trying to make this point earlier and I got sidetracked, was that he was saying in that Charlie Rose interview that it was him, it was Cassavetes, and Orson Welles. They were the only two people that were financing their own films in that way.
And they were both difficult to work with.
Just ask Peter Falk.
Right. So I don't want to sugarcoat it either. But Bogdanovich was really close to Orson Welles. He finished his final film for him. But he knew both of them really well.
Well, thanks for pushing it. I'm glad we finally got to it. And like I said, now, maybe A Woman Under the Influence, or we just back it up and maybe go in order, start with Shadows and then just make our way up,
Yeah.
But that's gonna wrap it on opening night. It's great. Again, 1977. You got Gena Rowlands. That's really all you need to know. Directed by John Cassavetes, written by John Cassavetes. Enough said. So this is a great one. Highly recommend it. Again, Mike and I are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. By the time you're listening or watching this, we'll be less than a week away from our trek out there. So we try to bring you as much coverage as we can from there. There's like tons of restrictions and things.
Right.
So we'll do what we can, but we'll certainly at the very least have an in-depth recap episode when we get back from that trip. But Mike, anything else to say about opening night before we wrap this one up?
No, like I said, it wouldn't be the first recommendation of mine of a Cassavetes film. I think The Killing of a Chinese Bookie will hook some people in first because it's mob kind of related. But any of these 5 films are masterworks.
Yeah. These and his 5 Chinese brothers. Philip Baker Hall.
From
Seinfeld reference for those that know
by
the
way,
episode.
Seymour Cassel.
Seymour Cassel, yeah.
Had a cameo. And
That's
that's
right.
where you see him.
That's
and for
right.
people who don't know him or don't know that name, he's in a lot of Wes Anderson films.
Yes.
And he won an Academy Award, I think, for one of Cassavetes, or was nominated at least.
Well, it's a great one. So there you go, folks. Opening night Criterion. You can get this. Mike says you can get this whole box set of John Cassavetes' 5 films half off right now.
$62. It's a steal.
Yeah, that's from what you're getting here. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a steal.
And not endorsed by the Criterion
No,
collection, but
I've
we wish
tried
we
to
were.
get into that closet.
The closet, yeah.
No,
never get Mike out of that closet. You got your own Criterion closet over there. What are you talking about?
I know.
Mike's Criterion room. All right, it's going to do it for another episode of the Old Brother Podcast. Been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.